Welcome back to College Town. I'm Kristen Ergel, and I'm joined by two guests, both from Game One. To my left, Tim McMurray, Vice President of Collegiate Partnerships, and Chris Wilde, Executive Vice President. And obviously, we want to hear a little bit more about Game One. How you guys started, and what are you evolving to right now?
Yeah, so thanks for having us. Love to be here. Love this organization and everything that they're doing for college athletics. So a little bit about Game One. We've all been around for a long time. You know, we're a collection of mom and pop dealerships that go back as far as I think 1946 was the founding of our first company. But basically, it's a conglomeration of 10, now up to 12. Smaller companies that have joined together to provide more market share, and then also, for quite some time there was only one real player in this space, and we feel like competition's good for everybody. And we've 4 years now going on today. We hired Tim to run our collegiate division, and it's just been amazing. We've had so much fun. He's put us in a position where we're a player at the national market, and we love it. And really, everything we do is all about service. We're not the biggest, but we hope we're the best.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're not just about apparel and footwear. Tell us more about some of your business development side of things.
Yeah, so what we want, our goal. I had a coach tell me a long time ago, when I wake up and think about something that revolves around sports and what I'm going to buy, I want to call you, regardless of what it is, whether it's a helmet, a shoulder pad, a T-shirt, a weight room, a bleacher, a stadium chair, a window wrap, whatever it is. Turf field, lighting, whatever it may be. When they wake up, we want them to think of whoever their go-to guy is. And so we've worked hard to overcome that stigma of we're just the T-shirt guys, And so and it's been super successful. We've grown it, and it's a lot of fun, and it's fun to get that call. It's fun to be a problem solver.
Without question. And you've sat on the other side for a long time as an athletic director in East Texas. Some of the things that you have probably kept your eye on for a long time is some of the things that we deal with now. We were meeting up at an NACTA conference, and we're all checking our phones and seeing what happens with news and things like that. And of course, things come around with the no patches on postseason and the patches conversation. What are some of the storylines that you track from your position now and ways that you're navigating some of these challenges?
Yeah, thanks. Great question. So as Chris said, I came to NACTA in 2022 here in Vegas as an unofficial Game One employee because it was a little bit before I started, but it was to start introducing. And one of my favorite stories at this convention, I don't even know if you know the story, but somebody's like, "Oh, no, do you guys sell tennis balls?" Well, actually, at that time, we had that tennis ball.
Oh boy, did we ever!
We had an over inventory of tennis balls. Like, well, we do, but we also sell a lot of other stuff. It was really what I've enjoyed the most. And you and I are both brand storyteller people. Like, I've enjoyed building our brand and working with our marketing and branding person, Ellie, not team, person, on telling the Game One story in this collegiate space. And yes, it's, as you said, seeing it, and I hope it helps us with new business, with having the right conversations, seeing all three sides of the triangle, having worked as an AD, having worked directly with brands at certain stops at Maryland, NIU, SMU, and then certainly now seeing it from the dealer side every day. I hope I can bring that perspective to help ADs answer questions they may not even know they need to ask.
Some of those questions that you probably get, you get a lot of feedback. Private equity is probably some conversations that come up around college athletics now, based on conversations that you're having out there. You're on boots on the ground. You're always out there. I've actually seen you in institutions we've been a part of too. What are the most significant perceived benefits and risk of private equity investments in athletic departments?
Yeah, and going back to your original question, private equity and the jersey patch are two hot button issues. And because you asked about that, I'll take it. The jersey patch thing is really interesting because, as we all know, the NCAA tabled it on January 18th at convention in D.C. this past January. And then January 25th, as Chris talked about earlier, we're at our what we call our Game One Facilities Conference, and that's where we bring our signage partners, our weight room facilities, branding, all those scoreboard partners, bring them down. We invite some collegiate and high school ADs just to, or facility operations people, just to see those product offerings. Because what I see all the time, and putting the AD hat back on, you get the contract done, you sign the contract, and then everybody's busy, right? You go do the next thing. We like to be able to remind and give our reps, sales reps, tools. Hey, we can do that windscreen. Hey, we can do that scoreboard table. Hey, we can do. We're not just, we're not just your brand and footwear dealer. So that piece on January 25th, leaving that conference, I got off the plane. My phone had probably 12 AD texts and about 6 or 8 emails because the NCAA 1 week after they tabled it passed it. What does this mean? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So we've actually proactively held some roundtables as a service to our partners, no matter which brand they're with FBS, FCS, Division I non-football, just so we can take intelligent feedback back to the brands and give them feedback from our partners on what they're seeing. Because just like anything, the jersey patch legislation was kind of, I would say, flying the plane while we're building it. And I think that's what's happening as we evolve, as brands evolve their jersey patch philosophy, because we all know there's only 11 announced patch deals, but I can tell you of about 60 or 70 schools that are maybe going to announce in the next 30 days. So it is very much, that's something that I'm monitoring from both the Game One and trying to be an advocate and a partner with the ADs. To private equity really quick, I've just never, going on campuses as much as we do, whether it's for business development, meeting with new partners, going to conference tournaments, going to these type of things, the one common denominator that I hear, and we work with, group of 6 schools, FCS, Division I non-football, Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior college. The one thing that tell me how I'm not just leaving future debt, right? Because it's sort of that, when you buy a house, are you going to own that house in 30 years? Maybe, maybe not. Somebody else is going to assume that debt. And just because you get an influx of new cash on the front end, that doesn't mean you're going to get that many more donors excited. That doesn't mean you're going to grow your season ticket base. That doesn't mean you have room in some stadiums to do it. So there's a lot of, I think, intrigue, but maybe not a lot of clarity.
One thing I've learned about private equity is they don't do it for free. Everyone is in that too because there's profit involved. So.
Another topic I want to talk about, and I'm sure you get this when you're out on the road and talking to ADs, is how is Game One adapting their contract models to incorporate NIL, such as creating revenue sharing opportunities for athletes through team stores or other ventures? Do you get that question a lot?
Almost every Division I contract, yes. So, great question, and I really appreciate. I mean, I've got a great boss. I'm not just saying it because he's sitting here. And my evaluation's already been done for the year.
Okay, well, good. This is genuine.
But I will say, I put this on our radar probably 9 months ago that as we were going through the sort of 26 cycle of renewals and new business, we've got to be responsive in the space. Chris got a couple of our colleagues involved in the conversation, and we do now have both formal and informal mechanisms, whether it's through investment, whether it's through incentive programs for student athletes, or whether it's giving them adaptability to use some of their contracted, dollars directly to revenue share. We've been very robust, and we feel like giving options on where you take your rebate. Do you take it as part of rev share? Do you take it in promo dollars? And I think that's been one thing that's been very, hopefully, gratifying for us as we see some of these, newer partnerships just announced. West Georgia, just lot of good things coming down the pike for us. New Mexico State was a big win for us earlier this winter, and just really getting out there and talking about, and there's a couple more coming down just like that, but being able to listen to the AD and then also hear what they're saying, because they want to know, if we say we want to be partner, not just your apparel vendor, we got to act like partners, right?
Another thing I've always thought of from this side of the house, which is you work with a lot of different brands. You're not working with just one brand, not just
Right.
Adidas, not just Nike. You're working with all of the brands.
We do.
Right.
So you know how they handle different things. What are some of the key differences and how they're approaching this, going back to jersey patches, which is a big deal in our world, from a brand protection standpoint? How do they all handle this?
I would say, and I'd love you, but great question. Nike and Under Armour have an NIL philosophy a little bit more geared to individual stories, and Adidas and being their largest collegiate dealer and partner, they're more about access and opportunity. Any Adidas partner school we have, every student athlete on that campus has access to NIL, whether it's through their own online store, whether it's through referral opportunities through us. But I would say that that's the primary difference, is that all three brands have a philosophy on it, but certainly all three very, very different.
One final question for you. You've seen the company evolve and you've molded the company. What makes you most proud of where you are today?
It's a good question. I think the most proud is, when we first formed, we were a baby giraffe, and then this little thing called COVID hit, and I mean, we almost didn't make it. Sports shut down, any type of event shut down. We rallied the troops. A lot of people deferred salaries. A lot of people worked literally for a year and a half for no money. And so the fact that, and oh yeah, by the way, we put in a new ordering system, which was sure so much fun. But we made it. That's the thing I think for me, is that I've seen the excitement of bringing it together, and then the low of like, oh boy, we may not make it. Now I think we're going to make it.
Yeah, what next?
Yeah, you're thriving and expanding, and especially multiple offerings, not just apparel. There's more to it than that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun right now. It's like taking over a 1-9 team, and then now we're 12-1.
I see you. You're everywhere. I mean, your brand's everywhere, especially on the social media footprint of things. Obviously, seeing those a lot. Okay, last question. Well, if I have a former AD here, I have to ask these types of questions. You're not going to get out of this space without me asking that.
I got it.
You helped transition a team, a university from D2 to D1. If you could give one single piece of advice to an AD going through a transition right now, similarly, what would that be?
Make sure that you do a great job. Because it can't be an athletic decision. It has to be an institutional decision. And everybody has to understand what both the risk and the reward is. And that means whether it's up front, the application fee, that's real money to do that. You don't make that up in ticket sales or donations or any of that type of stuff. That's real money. And I think also be prepared. The main thing that I had to really harp on with our campus at the time at Commerce was, we need to understand student athlete enrollment immediately declines, because we were carrying 152 football players. You're going to know that firsthand here pretty quick. At Division I, you're carrying 95 to 100, 105 maybe. We had 56 male, 51 women on the track roster. Those are I think the largest Southland rosters, like in the mid 30s. And that's nobody's fault. That is the fact of the matter. So we had our last year in Division II, the fall of 21 at Commerce, we had 26 on the volleyball roster. Now that's inflated. We had some honors college kids and some kids that didn't cost any money really, but that's a head count sport in Division I, so you have 12. So that, make sure that going into it first, make sure that the inherent risk, long-term reward, but the inherent risk, that everybody's aligned. And I think that's one thing that I would probably done different as an AD, to make sure we were better educated.
Great advice. Thank you so much for being willing to talk about hot topics as
Yeah,
well. So
this
thank
is
you
great.
guys.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Kristen. Appreciate it.